Welcome to Talk Commerce. I'm Isaac Mori, and this week our content will be about content. We'll be talking with Shaheen Samavati, the CEO and co-founder of Vera Content. They're a multilingual agency that focuses on global marketing for today's global world. Brent and Shaheen get into the challenges and opportunities that LLMs have brought to the content marketing game, and they also talk about new trends like how videos and influencers are also changing things up. Every business needs good content to tell their story and get the word out there, so this is a really impactful episode that I think you're going to get a lot of value out of. Without further ado, let's dive into the chat between Brent and Shaheen.
Welcome to this episode of Talk Commerce. Today I have Shaheen Samavati. She is with Vera Content. My brain is all combobulated this morning. Shaheen, go do a much better introduction for yourself. Tell us your day-to-day role and one of your passions.
Yeah, so I'm Shaheen Samavati. I'm co-founder and CEO of Vera Content, where we help brands create and manage large-scale multilingual content creation projects for audience across Europe and beyond, which basically means we work on blogs and social media pages for different markets. And one of my passions, I'd say, is just learning and sharing knowledge. I'd go with that. I feel like that's
great.
a common thread in everything I do.
Yeah, and we discovered we're both in Entrepreneurs Organization. You're in Barcelona. I'm in Minnesota. We both don't live in our home cities, so but I'm actually in Minnesota now, but and that's why I'm wearing a vest. Anyways, so we already found some commonality plus content. So this is great.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so before we get started though, I've already prepped you for this fantastic joke that I have, and you're just going to give me a rating 8 through 13. So here we go. My wife and I are sitting on the couch watching TV, and I hear a text. Realizing I left my phone in the kitchen, I get up, go to the kitchen to check it. And it's a text from my wife. Please bring the popcorn on your way back.
I'll give it a 4.
Oh, no. It's 8 through 13. You can't give it a 4.
It has to be 8 through 13. Okay, I thought it was like 0 to 13. Okay, well, I'll go with 7. Wait, 8.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate it.
I'm a words person, not a math person.
Right. Got it. All right. Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about your business and how you got into it.
Okay, this clearly is like some psychological test, not just the jokes test. But anyway, I'm not going to think too much about that. How I got into my business. You started to share a little bit about my location, but I'm actually based in Malaga, Spain, but my business is based in Madrid, and I'm a member of the Barcelona chapter of EO, so all over Spain. But I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio area. And so not that far from Minnesota, kind of. And basically my background is in print journalism, and I worked in newspapers before moving to Spain to do an MBA program like a while ago now. And after that, I've been working in like corporate communication and marketing roles where in like European companies. And basically I saw really working in Europe, like obviously the need for English natives. That's how I got my foot in the door in some of my first jobs in Spain, but also the need for multilingual content across European markets. And I was, working with providers with managing those kinds of projects in-house in the past, and decided to like launch my own agency to offer that service because I thought I could do it better. And now I've been doing that for 10 years. So that's where I am. And obviously we've grown the business. So I was part of the EO Accelerator program, and that helped me a lot in kind of scaling my business to where it is now. So.
Awesome. Did you start with EOA Cleveland, or where did you start Accelerator?
No, in Barcelona too. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I also started an I had a business before this business, and I started an Accelerator, and it was such a fantastic program. It really helped launch what we needed to do to get to that next level. And I mean, that's a completely different subject, and I have a different podcast for EO, but I think that's...
we should talk about that on there.
For the listeners who don't know, EO Accelerator is a program. If you're more than $250,000, it helps you it gives you a coach, and it helps you get to that next level. So, and it's such great value. The dues are very low. And I remember at the time thinking, if I go to something like Shop Talk, I know there's Shop Talk Barcelona, which is in the e-commerce space. The ticket for Shop Talk is $3,800. And at the time, the Accelerator program in Minnesota was like $1,900. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's such a great... The quarterly days are just like, the quarterly days are what made it for me. We'll talk about that on a different time.
I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, like at a very early stage, it seems like a lot of money, but the value is incredible considering, there's a lot of volunteers involved, and you get to learn from people who've already scaled their businesses, and people are really willing to help you. So that had a huge impact on the growth of Vera Content.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So let's talk about content. And, I did recently or in April, I purchased a content company. I know we talked about my other company, Content Basis, which was AI and then humans, but the new company that is all about human content. And
hmm
after ChatGPT, the company has really, really struggled. And I'm wondering, are you seeing that same struggle with a lot of your clients who say, hey, I can just do all this by myself. I don't need a human anymore to help me with my content?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen a lot of changes. Like we still, I mean, we continue to grow our business this year, but maybe like the nature of some of the work that we're doing is like obviously we're having to adapt to the market and having to integrate a lot of these AI processes into our own processes. And also, I'd say like some of the types of projects we did in the past we're seeing less of, but we're seeing more of other types of projects. So being a bit diversified, I think, has helped us a lot because we do, like I mentioned, not only blog content creation, which I would say there's still demand for, but there's a lot of higher expectation of efficiency than ever before. So that's sometimes that puts more pressure on the team, and like it also means we have to be really strategic about how we use the tools, but still get like exceptional results, because obviously when companies come to us, it's because they want more than what AI has to offer. So we really have to go above and beyond to like get them to really match their brand voice or offer like thought leadership, because they are paying for that human content, but they also want it like cheaper and faster. So, and actually some aspects have not really been sped up by AI yet. So it's like, managing that and managing the expectations with clients has definitely been a challenge. But then on the other side, we also do social media management, and kind of like localization of social media content. I'd say like straight localization we've also seen less demand for recently, but we're seeing more demand for UGC video content creation and more for like influencer partnerships. And that's something we've really grown on that side of the business, because I think like our core competency at Vera is really like managing the local teams who are in each of these international markets. And so being kind of the eyes and ears on the ground. So yeah, we've kind of expanded beyond not only having local writers, but also having local video content creators and, having people on the ground who can make those local partnerships as well.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think you hinted at some of the AI integrations that you had to do. And I know that traditionally we build by the word. And I think
hmm
now words are, I can't sugarcoat it, but words are cheap now, right? I think
hmm
it's harder now to build by the word as it has in the past as a regular writer. And writers are under pressure to deliver more for less.
hmm
And I'm sure you're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We do bill by the hour in our agency, but definitely, like, obviously, we're being compared against per word prices for certain types of projects. So, like, yeah. And the amount of time that's expected to create an article now is less because of all the tools available. So it's like having to manage that. Yeah.
My experience has been also around the expectation of you mentioned time, the amount of time to deliver, but also, one thing that I did when I started Content Basis was we said that we're gonna create the content with AI, but then we're gonna edit it with a human. And the
hmm
expectation from the client from the AI side was this should be perfect first round. We don't want to wait for a second edit or a third edit, or even learning how, training your model to do it right for you. The expectations at the beginning were that it's a magic bullet, right? That ChatGPT is just going to give you everything you need and that you don't need it anymore. Did you
hmm
experience some of that same thing?
Yes, we've seen that to some degree. We definitely are like picky about like the projects that we take on. So we do only work on like long-term collaboration basis, and we have kind of like that onboarding phase that for us is really important. Although depending on the client, some of them really value it and like want to get the style and tone right and make sure that our team is fully trained to be able to really produce the content to the standard, and others just like don't have the patience and want to start right away. We found like when that happens, a lot of times it's not the right fit for us. Because if the expectation is to just start spitting out content, well, it's impossible for us. It's oftentimes really hard for us to meet the client's expectation, or at least meet our own expectations, because maybe their expectations are low, but we also have certain quality standards internally that we need to meet to like, maintain our reputation. So yeah, we really try to only work with clients who really value that um, that premium service of really like taking the time to get to know their brands. And we, at the beginning of every project, like we build a style guide, we build all the resources and training needed for the writers who are going to be part of it. And if the client's not willing to wait a couple weeks for us to like get that all set up, then then yeah, it's probably not the right fit.
My previous business, we had offices in different countries, and we were very big in Mexico, and we really worked on growing into Mexico. And we did that through offices in Bolivia and other South American countries, and then delivering to Mexico. How do you keep in touch with everybody, and how, if you're global, how do you make sure that you're connected with your team and getting those team members? And then I guess, especially in Bolivia, language was a big barrier.
Hmm.
That English was really not at all promoted, or maybe it was promoted, but maybe developers, it was tough for them to get by and learn English. Do you find that problem just a commonality in how you speak with everybody, or does everybody at least speak English?
I mean, generally, like our target clients have very high level of English because they're usually managing content across multiple markets or managing marketing campaigns across multiple markets. So their internal language is usually English. And then a lot of our clients are like based in the US. Like we mainly work with clients who are either in Spain, where we are, in the US or the UK, or like very international companies like across who are operating in Europe, because that's our kind of specialty, is European markets. So helping our clients with their content for those markets. So yeah, we found, I mean, our language of communication generally is English, and we do most of our marketing and sales and everything in English as well, ironically, because we're helping our clients adapt it into a lot more languages. But of course, our clients are much bigger and are willing to put the resources to, and are also targeting several different international markets where we're really focused on English speaking markets.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking so much of the client, but more with the writer side, and maybe
Mm.
again, now I'm making a parallel between a developer and a writer, and I know they're two different. Everything is different about them, but I found that developers are so focused on learning the code that they skip English, and maybe writers are different, that English would be something that they'd kind of have to learn.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, definitely yeah. I mean, the language of communication internally at our company is generally English. Of course, we also have we're based in Spain. Everyone on the team also speaks Spanish. So yeah, some of our Spanish writers maybe don't. We communicate with them in Spanish, but for the most part, most of the international teams, we are communicating with them in English. Yeah.
Do you we always heard from the local country, like in Bolivia, that's the best place to learn Spanish because they have the best accent, and in Mexico, of course, they say the same thing, and then Spain says for some reason they have the right accent, which I don't understand. Do you, I mean, just in Dominican Republic, we did a lot of work there.
Hmm.
Do you find that the difference in language, just like English and UK, and are two different languages really? Like there's different spelling. Do you have to keep track of all that if you're doing across different markets? And the US also has a large Spanish speaking population that is Spanish first, that they might have a way of doing things than they do in Spain. Do you encounter that?
Yeah, well, we've actually done some content on a lot of different topics around this, with related to different languages. For Spanish, we've done is there really like a generic Spanish or a Latin Spanish, because that's something that is often requested. So, and well, we have a whole analysis of this, but I mean, basically, nobody really speaks like that. But it's trying to create a neutral version where you're not using any very specific local vocabulary, using a more neutral vocabulary that would be understood more universally. So that is something that it's true that if you're using that, you're not really localizing for any market. It's creating a more generic kind of voice. So it really depends what you're trying to do. Like for a piece of maybe a ad claim or something that you want to be really localized and to evoke emotion, you're probably not going to do that with a very neutral Spanish. But at the same time, it's a trade-off, because the more localized it is, the more narrow you're going, and the more different versions of it you'll have to make, and the more expensive that is.
Yeah, I would imagine too. There's some discrepancies. I know there's a lot of words in Mexican Spanish that are not either in Spanish that are maybe derogatory in Mexican Spanish. And I think about tapas, and there's another word with a P. It starts with, I don't want to even say it, but it starts with a P in Spanish. That was just that you have
Coger
for
un taxi. This is the typical joke.
yeah. So
Because
you have
that's
to be
really
a little
common to
bit
say in Spain, but in some countries it's inappropriate. What are you going
right,
to do to that taxi?
right.
Yeah. Okay. So
So I suppose
anyway.
you can have some fun, but then also I would imagine the local person would know a little bit about that. Hey, this is not the way to phrase this correctly in this language. And it
Yeah,
also,
sure.
I guess it goes to your professionality, right? That you need to know what that local dialect and local way of phrasing something is. And I can think of my experience would be something like, I went to school in Birmingham, England, and there's certain ways that you would say something there that you would never say in English, and vice versa, to show how or that you're proficient in that local dialect, that you want to deliver that language in the same dialect, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Especially for if you're trying to reach an audience that really hasn't left that environment, right? Because it depends. Like we see that a lot too. Like if you're like, there's some clients we work with that actually do a lot of content only in English because they are really targeting like people who are working in international companies in a more B2B setting. And it's like, if you can reach your audience with more generic content, maybe you don't need to localize it. And there's other circumstances where if you're selling beer, I don't know, and you want to sell it in the local pub, well, you need to localize your ads for that.
AEO, GEO, AIO are just such terms now that people are throwing around.
I don't think anybody's decided what it's officially called yet.
They need to figure it out. But are you writing your content to help people with those specific LLM search items?
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a super big focus area for us, and staying on the cutting edge of that. And we're actually doing a live webinar about it coming up. I don't know when this podcast is going to be published, but yeah. So yeah, absolutely. It's true that from what we've seen, it's not in terms of what works in terms of SEO and what works for the LLMs. It's not doesn't seem to be hugely different, but there are some little things to keep in mind that can help us optimize. And I'm sure that it's going to keep changing, and we're going to have to keep adapting.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, well, before ChatGPT came out, the whole voice optimization to get showing up on Alexa and Google, whatever, the different voice way to say something so Alexa will respond to your search request. That seems to kind of now layered into the LLM searching. You find the same?
Mm-hmm. So what's the question there?
The question is the way that we used to, before ChatGPT, a lot of people were trying to create content that would get shown up by Alexa or by Siri or one of the other voice searching, that you have to, there's specific ways to write your content to be shown by that. But now it's kind of folded into LLMs or to the search, to the large language models. Are you seeing the same thing?
I think similarly. I'm sure that I don't know exactly how the voice recognition works, but I assume that it was based on AI already, and now we're seeing that AI being baked into everything. So
right. All right. So we have a what are you seeing now for this last quarter of the year? We're already in fourth quarter in the US. We have Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Are you seeing an uptick in content creation?
I'd say, well, I don't know if it's, of course we see content creation around those events every year, but I think in general, we're seeing more content being created than ever before in the history of humanity. It's so easy to create content now, and everyone is, and that's what I think we were talking earlier about the demand for content. It's true that a lot of companies are maybe creating more content internally with AI tools and so forth, but at the same time, they're creating more and more content. And I think even though, it means the nature of how content is created is changing, the volume is incredible. And I think there's absolutely a lot of work for humans to do in all of that. And I actually see, we've seen, for example, a big shift back to people buying print publications. There's been a lot of news around that recently. And I think that shows the hunger there is for actually curated, well-organized content that has been vetted by someone, because of all the crap that's just being spewed out on the internet these days. So I still think there's tons of demand for actually high quality content that's, created by humans, or at least refined by humans, or AI models that are written, that are guided by humans, I guess I should say.
Yeah, and maybe that would be a last little topic here, is just the idea that content that's not cultivated, or at least read and edited by a human, is really the same content that one person is writing if you're using ChatGPT, and the next person is. There's no difference in that content, so there's no differentiator in your own brand if you're just using a straight up model and never having anybody edit it, and even having your own prompts or whatever. That content is now going to be completely vanilla, and I believe that's the content that's just going to get rolled over and not even seen by search engines in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I think that there's a lot of potential. Like, obviously, like AI speeds up the process incredibly, and it can do really amazing things. But you need to give it the source information. Don't ask it to look for the source information for you, because what it will find is what everyone else is finding, and it's going to create the same old generic stuff.
Perfect. Shaheen, we have a couple minutes left, and as I close out the podcast, I give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug about anything they'd like. What would you like to plug today?
Yeah, well, I guess I would plug like just the free resources on Vera Content's website. If you check it out, veracontent.com, go to free resources, you can see a lot of content that we've done on some of the topics we've been talking about today, and definitely about searching, LLM search and SEO best practices, as well as a lot of things around global social media management and of course AI content creation. We've got a lot of stuff on that, so I'd say to check that out.
Great. And how do they get a hold of you if they want to?
Yeah, well, through our website, of course, you can find me there at veracontent.com or on LinkedIn, Shaheen Samavati.
All right, perfect. Shaheen, thank you so much for being here today. It's been such a great conversation. Have a great day.
Thank you, Brent, for having me.
Talk Commerce is a production of Content Basis, LLC. For more creative content, go to contentbasis.io.